Here in the country. We want to have a discussion about the assistive technology in Africa for visually impaired persons. This morning with me in studio is Anthony Nderangu, who is the programs manager at Enable, seated on my extreme left, and seated to my immediate left is the beautiful lady Valerie Busaka, who is a computer instructor at the Enable. So she will be taking us through how technology is helping persons who are who need to use it, and how that process is taken through. But then, Valerie, talk to us about this assistive, technology in Africa that you will be taking us through later on.
Okay, to begin with, my name is Valerie Olesia. I'm a computer instructor at Enable. I need to mention that I'm blind. That's why I need to carry my eyes with me. Yes, this is a white cane that I use to move around. It's for mobility purposes and identification. Yeah, so assistive technology in Africa is what we call the adaptive and rehabilitative devices that persons with disability use to ensure that they access most of the things that they need. Yes, for instance, a building that is needed to be accessed by someone who is on a wheelchair, that person will require a ramp. So we say that building is accessible to that person if there is a ramp or there is a lift to enable that person reach to the floor they need to reach. Yes.
Right, and Anthony, I mean, for several Kenyans who this technology has come out, they're saying, wow, this is a self-relief for so many of us. Can you give us a breakdown, probably if you have, how many Kenyans you've reached so far using this assistive technology?
Well, thank you, Brenda, and thank you for having us here so that we can chat around this important topic. Yeah, as far as assistive technology is concerned, it's very, very important to remember that we have so many people with disability, and we can't ignore them. They need to access education, they need to access employment, they need to access everything that every other person is accessing. So we as Enable, we have come on board, and we have worked with different partners to make sure that we access as many people as possible. And so far, especially those who are living with visual impairment, blind, we have managed to access at approximately 14,000 persons
in Kenya.
In Kenya, who have gone through our computer assistive technology program. Yeah, basically we do it in school setup. This is where we found that when it comes to assistive technology, it sounds good and it works well when you start at the tender age. So those kids who have any form of disability in schools, we start from there. So in the last 10 years, we have managed to get more than 14,000 individuals.
All right. So Valerie, for someone with visual impairment, take us through. Do you start, because Anthony is saying you start with the school-going children at a tender age to learn how to use the assistive technology that Enable has come up with. So for those who are not technologically, they don't have knowledge in terms of computer use or technology, kindly take us through how you take them through this process.
Oh, okay, yes. So it is very, very interesting for a blind learner who is very young. That is what Anthony mentioned, from tender ages. There are those children who are very young and going through school setup. So we make sure that this kid, without sight, they are able to access education through assistive technology. That's why we teach them basic computer skills. That's why I have a laptop here, and I'm able.
You should be taking us through later.
Okay, yeah, I'll be taking you through later on. So this kid, remember I've mentioned that this kid is blind, and so the kid needs to understand the basic setup of the keyboard, because they'll not be using the mouse or the touchpad on any gadget. So they need to understand basically where is letter A located, where is letter S located, So you need to be that basic, to that young person. Yes. So
okay.
Yes.
You're saying something?
Yeah, I'm saying that we start by, we tell them that the keyboard has 6 lines. Basically, if you count, there are 6. From here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We tell them, yes, the keyboard has 6 lines, and we begin from line 1. We make sure that they master all the keys on the keyboard, because that is the basic entry to the computer.
All right. Yes. So, Anthony, are there specific or special computers or laptops that parents have to buy, or is just the normal computer and normal laptops, and the keyboard, you know, the keys for that computer, the laptop? Is it manufactured differently? Is it just the normal computer, go buy and then you come, we train you, or we modify it for you?
Good. Interesting one. We work with normal computers. The computers that we use, you just go, you get into a shop and get a computer. What you need is one special software, which is free, in fact. We have even, others are commercial, but we even have the free one. So you just need to install that software. Then from there, we teach you, and you need the skills, of course, for you to operate the computer. Right. Now, the keyboard is not brailled. It's you can braille, you can modify. Not the best practice, especially considering that some students won't be in a position to have their own. You want to someone who is visually impaired get into a cyber cafe and do their things. So in cyber cafe we have normal keyboards. Right. So that's why there is that aspect of mastering the keys. Right. Once you master the positioning of the keys, then you go to the next level where you talk of the combination of the keys. Right. Yeah. So there is nothing like special computers. We only need to have the skill and practice and practice. What
Valerie was saying. So Valerie, I mean, when you're touching the keyboard, like what you're doing now, and of course, Anthony says there's nothing, you're not modifying the keyboard, the computer, or the laptop, then how will you teach this visually impaired child or a grown-up to know this is A, or this is Q, or this line has this letter?
Okay, yeah, so personally I need to mention that I'm a direct beneficiary of Enable. When I lost my sight in 2013 at Form 3, I went through Enable through Nico Hausa Special School. That's why I got to understand how this blind person can use a computer. So basically, it's a teacher-pupil or teacher-student based like training that you make sure that your student understands. From line 1, we tell them that there is escape, there is F1, so you make sure it's like a song you sing.
So it's not like they're touching the keyboard to feel.
They touch. You tell them touch the first key on your left, and you tell them that is escape. So you follow with your hands. You tell them touch the next key. You tell them that is F1. Touch the next key. That is F2. Yeah, going like that until they master all the keys. You make sure that they master. They don't leave behind any key, because all the keys on the keyboard are very important as we continue using the computer.
All right. Yes. And so, Anthony, before now we come back to Valerie as she prepares to take us through what the assistive technology is all about and how it works. So how long does it take for a visually impaired person to learn this assistive technology? Because people are different.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And as you've said, people are different, so they will spend different time. You may have, I have a colleague of mine, and that guy is super sharp, you know. I just introduce something small and he picks. Yeah, so in class setup, like Valerie, I took her through this introduction back in Siaya. And you find that in a class setup, you have those who grasp these things very fast. Others are struggling. So what we usually do, we have like peer teaching kind of, where those who are struggling, they are given they are supported by their peers. So it takes a lot of time, honestly speaking, especially to do tangible things.
So is there a curriculum that you follow?
Yes, we have a curriculum that we follow, and we train from grade 1 up to Form 3.
Okay.
So we are distributed in blind schools in the country. We are in Meru, we are in Kiambu, we are in Siaya, we are in Mombasa, Well, those major schools.
So if you're doing it from grade 1 to Form 3, so what happens to that person who's in Form 4 onwards, institutions of higher learning, you're employed? So what happens to them?
Yeah, so
or after that, they're able to continue?
There is that transition. We have alumni group where they have like very finished high school, then she went ahead to the university.
Right.
So there is that support. Of course, it's challenging when you transition now from the primary level. And that's why I said initially it's a journey,
all right,
not a very easy journey. And sometimes it depends on your capability in terms of even financial mastery,
all right,
and so on and so forth.
All right.
Yeah.
So Valerie, kindly take us through this class of the supportive technology, assistive technology that someone who's visually impaired will go through, and I'm sure we'll be able also to show that to our viewers on screen. So kindly take us through how it's done.
Okay.
When someone comes to a class, how it's done from that level to when you're supposed to finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, you'll notice that when I'll be using my computer, there is a sound. So that sound is what connects me to this computer. Without that sound, I cannot operate this computer. So it is a software that Anthony mentioned. It's free, but you can get others which are commercial. And this one is called non-visual desktop access. So it is a software that is helping someone with visual impairment access the desktop easily, you see. Yeah, so when for instance, I want my students to access, the basic computer packages such as Microsoft Office, Word, Excel. So I tell them you should press window key. That is what I've pressed. You see, when I press the window key, it tells me start menu, and it brings a list of the programs that are in my computer. So when I'm training learners, I tell them, if you want to access Microsoft Office Word, it's very easy because you can just press W. And exactly what brings it, Microsoft Office Word 2010. So I tell them to press enter.
So the voice, the instructor who's speaking is also assisting the student.
Yes.
So they listen and they follow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Continue. It is very, very easy following the non-visual desktop access NVDA when you are teaching Microsoft and also when you are learning. You see? So it is very, very easy to make this student understand. So that is a blank page that I have opened, and so you imagine that I'm in a class. And I need that student to understand. So on my keyboard, it's very interesting. At letter F and the letter J, you will notice that there are some indents. Do I call them that?
Yeah.
There are some marks. So that is an identification mark.
That comes with the laptop or the computer.
Even yours, just a normal computer has that.
Okay.
So to me, it is a landmark.
All right.
So where I need to press my hands on. The small finger will press A, so the other finger will press S. The pointing finger will be at F.
So Valerie, so when the student or when a person with who's visually impaired wants to touch the keyboard of F, so you're saying that the finger has to be on A, so the fingers have to be spread across for the person to reach F.
Yes. The fingers have to be spread across, but the two pointing fingers for both hands, the left one should be on F, and the right one should be on J.
Okay.
Yes, so that is very easy to navigate. As you locate your fingers, it's very easy to navigate through the keyboard. Our keyboard is QWERTY, so navigating through it when you're placing your fingers there, it's very easy, and that is why for this learner who is very small, okay, when you tell them to press letter F, and you tell them that letter F has a landmark, that is what they keep in their mind.
All right. So what if I want to tell the learner or the visually impaired person to press a question mark?
To press a question mark, so they need to combine a key. They need to combine Shift plus another key that is slash, so that will give you a question mark. Yes.
All right. So now let's start the process again.
Okay.
Now you're giving the instruction. Okay. So once you give the instruction, I had there's an instructor voice coming out.
Yes.
Someone who is giving the instruction. So just assume you're in a class because our viewers also want to listen. So you give the instruction, and then the instructor speaks, and then we move on to the next instruction.
Okay.
Start window. Search window. Search box G. Google Chrome G. tab Google Chrome. Toolbar.
So
Address
right
and
now
search bar
I want
edit
to
has
browse
autocomplete
through
control
the
plus
internet.
LA.
That's what I also train my learners, how to browse through the internet. You know, learners in higher grade, that is junior secondary, grade 6, and Form 1, 2, and 3, they need to understand also how they can get notes online, how they can browse, maybe a topic that a teacher has given them. So right now I'll just go to search what assistive technology is.
I-T-I-V-E. Assistive. T.
No.
I-T-I-S-S-A. Assert S. I. S. T. I. V. E. Assistive. T. E. C. N. O. L. O. G. U. U. Y.
So I need to understand the meaning of assistive technology. So the browser I'm using here is Google Chrome, and it exactly takes me to the meaning of assistive technology. So when I want to access that, I press letter H.
Search modes heading level
so
1.
it has said search mode. So it will start reading for me the what I've searched, and using the arrow keys,
Navigation
I'll navigate through.
Link news. Link images.
So it is telling me the
books,
links.
Link video. Menu button.
Yeah.
Button about heading level 3. Heading level 3 search instead for link assistive technology. Clickable heading level 2 featured snippet. Heading clickable level 3 assistive technology can include mobility
So what you
devices
can
such
see,
as walkers and
tell me
wheelchairs.
what assistive technology is. It can include, you see, it's very, very easy. So I just listen to the sound.
Then it tells you.
Yeah, I'm
and
able to connect.
Yeah, because when I had you searching a specific site, it kept on saying, repeating the letter, and so that repetition of that letter, it's also as a sign of showing the person that you have gotten the correct letter.
Yes, actually, that is why the NVD is there. So when I press any letter, for instance, A, S, it must pronounce the letter for me so that I know I've done the correct thing.
All right. Yeah. So, Anthony, so what happens where you have a visually impaired person who doesn't understand English? Is this in Swahili or also in the local language? Because I mean, we want to make it as simple as possible for everyone that cuts across the board.
Yeah. So, as far as assistive technology is concerned, we have, you are right, sometimes you may get a student who English, maybe they don't understand English, or maybe Swahili. Like, for instance, you go to coast, sometimes you find that you are really struggling. And the key here, and it's good for the viewers to understand this, the key is to make sure that there is communication between the computer and the computer user. So if you are able to crack that, then everything else will work for you.
So this is just used, the assistive technology, Valerie, is just used to enable a person who's visually impaired to use a computer.
Yes.
So can it be used for teaching? Like a teacher can use it for teaching? Like do maths?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, let me answer that. And as I say, why I think the first question I had not you asked about whether local languages can work. Some languages work, but others you have to know English.
All right.
English is a prerequisite,
all right,
to be honest. So you try to read a Swahili book using NVDA, you won't get anything because it will read as if it's English.
All right.
Yeah. So back to your the other question is about what you
in a minute, in terms of if this can be used to teach in a classroom.
Yes,
in a minute.
It can be used to teach in a classroom, even by a visually impaired teacher. And we have softwares. You know, when it comes to learning, like for instance, STEM, science, technology, mathematics, you have things like graphs. How does a blind person interpret a graph? And it's all about looking at the graph, you know, identifying points and so on and so forth. So we have other softwares that are used. Like we have one called High Sonification Studio, done by Georgia Tech, that usually help the learners with visual impairment do learn such crafts. So not just the computer basics. This is just the basic.
But
when it comes to learning,
across the board, it
exactly,
can be used. Okay.
Maps and everything and everything.
All right.
Yeah.
So Valerie, as we finish in a minute, your closing remarks. You know, it may sound as easy, as simple as it can be, very interactive and fun, because I believe this is, you know, as you're doing it, you're enjoying yourself. You know, you're being connected to the world technologically. How cheap or expensive can this be for a parent or for any person out there who wants to get to, you know, this supportive technology?
Okay, basically, thank you for that question. It is equally a challenge to a parent who has a child with disability, you know. Accommodating this child at times, we need to agree that it's not easy, but we need to stretch a little bit to ensure that we accommodate each and every person, you know. I usually tell the world that it is good to see the ability in someone before you see the disability.
Yeah.
This person is first a human before they are a person with the disability. That's why I also discourage calling someone with disability that people living with disability. It's very bad to tell someone that you are a person living with disability. You do not cohabit with disability. Yeah, so it is disability ethics that some people do ignore, but it's very important to mention that to our viewers that we appreciate being called people with disabilities. It's not.
But you've been enabled differently.
Yes,
so it's better we call you a person who's been enabled differently.
Yes, it's good. We appreciate that. We also appreciate, and we're so accommodative to any other means, such as assistive technology, the way Enable is doing, bringing light to the world to ensure that this person who has visual impairment is able to enjoy, for instance, education, just like any other person who is enjoying education, creating an equal opportunity to everyone, despite their disability.
At what cost?
It might be expensive, yes. Acquiring, for instance, the digital devices that we use at school, even a laptop, a personal laptop, you know, it might be expensive to some parents. It might not be expensive to other parents. But so we try to pull the thread and we get to the middle so that we ensure that
so it is something that someone can afford?
Yeah, someone can afford.
All right.
Yes, so I appreciate and understand that we need to embrace technology the way it comes so that we are not left behind in terms of technology.
All right. Valerie Busaka Santesana, who is a computer instructor at Enable. Anthony Ndirangu, thank you so much. The program manager at Enable, thank you for making us understand that persons who've been enabled differently, not people living with disability, but they've been enabled differently, can be able to connect with the world in a way of technology, using the assistive technology in Africa. My name is Brenda Zedaradido. I pave way now for Suleiman Yeri, who's up next with Yanayo Juri as he comes in to bring you up to date with what is making the headlines, but through the Swahili language. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. I see you tomorrow for KTN News Weekend Prime. God bless.